short meeting, we'll
Do
still
I
be
do
here.
that? That's not how it's normal
They
work?
Never done it this
have
way
the
since I've been here.
presentations
Oh,
from some
well,
of
I like it.
Uh-huh, me too.
Madam Chair, I'm ready.
Okay. Everyone, let's call a meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. All right, first of all, we have public comment period. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? No? If not, we'll move on to the April 21st, 2026 board meeting agenda.
No changes today, Madam Chair.
Okay, can I hear a motion?
Chair, I will move the agenda as presented.
We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? There's no resolution. Are there any resolutions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Yes, today we have approval of the April 7th board meeting minutes, approval of the Health and Human Services County and Hospital accounts payable, awarding the Highway Safety Improvement Program pavement marking contract, approving the contract with Fiddler Technologies for their Laredo product, 2026 additional watercraft inspection agreements, an agreement with the MPCA for their loan program for failing septic system upgrades. And that is the consent agenda.
Questions?
I had one, as long as Greg is here on the septic. That's one of, that pot of money we just use until it's gone, until we get awarded again. Is that correct?
Pull out of that pool as we
And once it's, how often do we get that?
maybe 3 years.
Okay. And it usually never makes the duration, correct? Okay.
Cycles again. Know what the price are.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that one. I think there are some counties that actually do a program along with that, I believe, to stretch those funds. That's a loan, but it paid back on your tax.
We had the grant for a while, so we very low participation because it's based out of income.
Okay.
We didn't have any qualifiers at that time, so.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
If not, I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I so move.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any more questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ann Steinhaus, County Feedlot Officer, welcome in.
Good morning, I'm Ann Steinhaus, the County Feedlot Officer, and I'm just coming to seek a signature for the 2025 County Feedlot Annual Report. It also includes a financial report. So that's pretty much, it just basically covers, this report covers the work that the MPCA, that's part of the MPCA grant agreement. It does not cover the entirety of the feedlot officer's work, just the work that is, I'm graded on in essence, so.
Did you wanna, does anyone have, are you gonna go over it, or do you just want questions or discussion?
I can do,
Whatever you prefer.
so, it just, sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
I did 24 graded inspections last year. I did a total of 47 inspections. Of the other, almost half are the large sites, the CAFO sites. I do not get credit for those towards MPCA. Those are ones I do as county inspections. On the report, I didn't lose any points this year, so that was kind of nice. I will note that the county was paid for 273 feedlots in the most recent registration cycle, which are down to 257. So that may affect the funding. The reason I say may is because there's a pot, in essence, well, there's a pot. And it's divided by the number of feedlots in the state. So it's whatever the total sum is, and that sum changes annually based on what MPCA pulls out for other things, divided by the number of feedlots in the state. So as other counties have gone down too, I would anticipate our funding wouldn't change drastically. The other thing I would like to note is on the financial report, the MPCA match will go down. The county's match also will go down as a percentage of that. The reason for that was the total awarded amount was greater in the 2024-2025 spending cycle because there was a one-time, the feedlot budget increased a one-time from 1.1 million to 2.2 million. Again, that was because of the extra funds at the legislature. So that will be going back down to whatever the historic levels previously were. And again, that number is based off of the number of feedlots in the county and how much each feedlot is worth once the MPCA does their magic math. I shouldn't say it that way, but does that
Right.
calculation.
You can say it that way. don't
Government
worry.
math, we call that.
So I don't know what that number is. It's usually between $250 and $300 a feedlot.
Okay,
So
good.
that's kind of,
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I have two questions for Ann. I noticed on here, line 59, it says feedlot ordinance revisions likely in progress or completed. Are those ordinances like state ordinances or state things? That would be our local.
that would be county and local. And so we have made, I believe the planning commission made a minor one. I don't know that the state is going, we did a clarification as far as sites under 10 acres. It was kind of, it required a CUP for any animal units above 2. We just, and nobody was getting those. And I didn't really have the time to enforce if you had 3 horses and you didn't have a CUP. So the decision was made to reward that. Now, I don't know if that would be reflective on 2026, but I don't know if I will get credit for that. The reason I say that is because performance credits we do get paid out for. And you can see in 2025, the county would have gotten $5107.45 additionally for performance credits. So it's above and beyond the spending calculation. So if I can if I can convince them that something that pertains strictly to the county will get me performance credits, we will make a little additional money, but not much.
Okay, then my second question is, when I was on the planning commission, one of the members would at least go to one inspection with you each year or so forth. So if we had a liaison from the board, it would be important for them to go to
I
a
didn't use some more
feedlot
commissioners
inspection.
on it.
I think it's,
I would be happy to attend a feedlot
I
inspection.
wasn't speaking about you,
Oh,
Cheryl.
sure you were.
The view from under the bus is great.
it would not be a bad idea to
No,
see one
It's fine.
a
Do we
year.
get to pick which facility? That's
Yo, that's even better.
I've done a
animal?
couple, it's all right.
I do have a little experience in barn visits and
There you go.
yes,
A
we'll
lot
be
of them
okay.
don't actually go into the barns. So,
Okay.
it-
Shoot.
we the feedlot rules are very much concerned with runoff issues. So it's manure storage, feed storage, things of that nature. So yeah, we look at the open lots, we look at where the feed is. I do a lot of walking around and looking at outside stuff, except for on total confinement operations, especially with the high path avian influenza. So if it's total confinement and it's one of these high biosecurity areas, we don't get out of the truck.
When I did mine with Ann, we never got out of the truck. There was avian flu at that time, I
Yep,
think. something.
yep.
Shoot.
We couldn't get out anywhere.
Yeah, poultry sites are very, unless if I see something, I would get out of the truck, but most of those sites, as Paul can attest to, there's not much to see.
So is that the same if you have a complaint? Because I went on one where there was some fly complaints, several, one summer. And we went in and looked. Is it different
It would be different.
depending on the complaint or
Yeah.
why you're there?
Yeah, if it's just, this is, what I'm referring to is just routine inspections.
Okay.
Most of the CUP sites in Meeker County are inspected annually, and so, and most of the CUP sites are inspected annually, and most of them are in very good condition when I come.
Yeah.
I've had very few issues with the CUP sites.
I recall this, we were out on a fly, looking for, we had a lot of fly. So the inspector left his windows on the truck open, and he said, this will tell us if there's a lot of extra flies out there. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And there wasn't, but I still kept getting,
It was similar, Greg may remember, we toured Forsman Farms in Cokato. And of course, that's poultry, a million some birds. Pulled up, it was a hot summer day, not thinking I left my windows down. Not a fly in that
see, that's,
vehicle. I mean,
Stands
that was the most pristine
yeah.
sight. It was just, yeah, no smell,
We're doing
no feathers.
they've
no-
come a long way in
Yeah,
mitigating.
and it depends on when they're moving the manure and when I would get the complaints, but I haven't had any for a long time, so knock on that. Any other questions? Anyone? Aaron, did you have anything? No?
Not really, no.
We don't need action on this, do we? Or
It
do
does
we?
require approval, correct?
Yeah.
So I need a
Does, okay.
signature.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the 2025 County Feedlot Officer Annual Report.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the feedlot officer report. Do I hear a second?
I will
Second.
second. Give it
Second
to
by
Dan. Yep.
Darren. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really wasn't trying to throw you under the bus.
Melissa.
That's okay. I like farm tours.
Acknowledging your new position.
Thank you.
Then he
Wow.
pretends he didn't know who he's
I
talking
what?
about. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm bringing before you, Ms. Betty Herman was here a couple of weeks ago regarding her tax abatement on her properties. You guys requested more information on that. So several years ago, prior to my time in office, we destroyed many of the original homestead applications, as many have exceeded the retention period of 10 years. The state has now required us to have one on file for every homestead within the county. So we began that project back at the end of 2022, continued into 2023 and into 2024, finally removing any homesteads that were not returned, any applications that were not returned in 25 for taxes payable 26. Ms. Herman was mailed multiple letters along with applications, February 1st of 23, August 1st of 23, and then a final notice sent December 6th of 24. She did not return the actual application for her homestead on the parcels that are listed, as well as her truth and taxation notice, as well as her valuation notice went out, so she had 5 notices to state that she was a non-homesteaded property on all of her parcels. She has a grandson that lives on one of her parcels, and she mailed that application on July 1st of 25 and September 2nd of 25. And we did receive that application back in October 10th of 2025. So that one did get returned. So as our abatement policy is written, we would not allow that abatement to go forward because she's had multiple notices. And after speaking with our tax compliance officer, we have basically figured out that we can offer a relative homestead on all of those parcels. But it would exclude her house, garage, and 1 acre. So that would turn to a residential non-homestead for taxes payable in 26. You guys do have the authority to overturn that and grant a full abatement if you wish. I did do a quick tax estimate regarding her taxes owed. Currently, she would owe the county $14,324. A full abatement would bring that total down to $7,976 for a difference of $6,348. And if we were to apply the relative homestead to it, that would bring her total down to $8,298 for a difference of $6,026. So and I've attached our actual abatement policy, our evaluation notices, and our T&T statements. We do have 46 other people that did not return their homesteads as well, so we have other people in the same boat. So I would move to approve the relative abatement on this to give her some relief and that application was turned in time.
Have you heard anything from the other people that?
Nope.
They haven't said anything?
And I'm sorry, forgive me if I'm not remembering, but do we know how many other?
46.
40.
46,
Yep.
okay, I was thinking 30-something, but,
And probably it isn't this much money, or it is, or does it matter?
There were 10 applications that were ag that were pulled. One of them did call based on their TNT statement, but got the application filled out and returned to our office before the end of the year. So, but the remainder did not.
I think, relative to what we have in front of us today, I think, in my opinion, whatever you do here today, we do
Yep.
for everybody across the board.
Well, not everybody's gonna have a relative.
Correct.
We
but-
won't have that option, but we wanna,
So we may have more coming before us, no matter.
It's possible if they were to reach out, yeah.
I think personally this is a fair answer, so.
I do too, and I think it helps guide us on the other ones that may come forward.
I mean,
And of them 46, I've quite a few of them reached out to you to correct it for in the future.
We've had some of them back, not all of them.
Not too many
Some
yet.
people have moved,
Oh, okay.
ownership types
So
of
that-
sold properties.
So that will help correct it though.
That
too.
will correct
Sale
itself,
will
yeah,
correct
sale
it.
will
So that
probably
helps.
correct itself, yeah.
Okay.
I kinda threw mine on the desk for months. I just didn't pay attention, so I can see how it could happen. But, did anybody else have anything on this?
The only thing I will say is, if we're going to have a policy and when it's violated, we're just going to amend, I have a little bit of struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think a policy is a policy, and if we're just gonna violate it, then what did we write the policy for?
I think it depends on why we made the policy. If this was a state thing, right? The state is the one that, we
That
destroyed
requires,
the
yeah.
homes and then we had to redo it, so that doesn't matter, I agree, but I'm also very willing if people come forward to consider it. I don't think everybody is gonna get the same treatment if that's what, I don't know, maybe. This was an easy answer, and you talked to the state about it, and this was a recommendation by them, so.
I appreciate the work you've done on this to get the amount reduced as much as you have.
Yeah.
It's taken a certain amount of work, appreciate that. There were many many times the notices were received, and I would agree that sometimes we table those, but after 5 notices, I feel like this is a very fair method to reduce those taxes, and then she also had to come to you, and so she eventually had to do the process and do the work. So I would say if other property owners want to pursue this, they need to do that.
They would have to start that process,
Exactly,
yep.
they would need to start that process. It's not something that we would change policy necessarily, so.
And I think it's more of a one-off situation than a deviation that's gonna continue to repeat itself. That's-
Right, yeah, but she's already put in her application to go full homestead
Yeah.
for,
And hopefully we'll get the ones that
Yeah. Yeah,
haven't, and they will catch up, so.
No,
Any oth-
I agree, I think it's good.
Okay,
I was gonna say, I wanted to just say I appreciated Jane's involvement and how she reached out to, try to help her neighbor.
Yep.
And I think that's a real positive thing. And I think she put in a lot of time and was just
Yeah, she did.
a lot of concern, and that's appreciated for sure.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move to approve the abatement regarding the relative application for homestead.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll
the
second
rel-
that,
do,
Madam Chair.
And we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. 4-1. Okay. One more thing, Andrew, are we doing enough to let people know that that they have to redo their, are we?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a
That's
question.
always something
There's
on
always a question of how much and how to provide notification. In this case, we sent out nearly 1,200 letters to the 1,200 homeowners who were in this situation. And so I know at the last meeting, Ms. Grosinger was saying that we should go door to door for every single
Well, I
person.
don't think we can do
There,
that.
the question is, at what point does great customer service impede efficiency? And so
And-
I think in this situation, the fact that we sent out multiple letters over multiple years
Yep.
was a good process.
And now we have Facebook and we have our newsletter. We can
Absolutely.
Certainly.
Well, not at 1,200 if we're dealing with 46.
Right, it was
I
pretty
mean, we
well,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, it was an effective process, I think.
Yep, it was. All right, Heather.
All right, good morning, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. We've received multiple inquiries about the tax forfeited process and the two parcels that are up for auction. So we are here today to ask for your approval to work with Steffes Group to be the auctioneer for these two parcels.
I'm Eric Gabrielson with Steffes Auctioneers, so I'm here today on behalf of that. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'd love to answer them.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
you will be doing all the advertising on this?
Correct.
That's kind of what I
Yep.
read through it.
Correct. We had looked at, Amanda and I, colleague, looked at both properties and, the little house over in Grove City, obviously. I wouldn't recommend sticking a bunch of money into cleaning it up. The mother raccoon climbing in and out of the hole in the roof. And it's like, we'd go into properties and clean them up and trim trees and what have you. And really the only recommendation I'd have for that would probably be just continue mowing the lawn up until the auction and probably removing, I think there's an old boat and a boat trailer or something in the front yard. That would probably help just clean it up, but I really just don't see a lot of value with that little place because I kind of figured it's gonna cost about $25,000 to tear it down just for a bare lot.
Oh, wow.
It's that bad. Whatever, that was kind of my thought. I know you guys have something to follow, but I just don't see a lot of value there. The land over by the river is a unique piece of property. I think there'll be a lot of interested people in that just for hunting. It's really not a great place to build a house. I think there's too much low area, but it still would be a nice piece of property in the country, so. Make a nice canoe landing.
Yeah.
To rip our, so, yeah, it's a kind of a neat piece of property.
That's a,
I wouldn't recommend, I thought about it, and I usually push people to at least survey some boundary lines. I just don't think it would be worth the $2,500 spent, surveying that, just so a person knows where the property lines are for sure. I think we'll just sell it by the deeded acres and let the person that buys it spend the $2,500. You guys have stuck enough, have enough skin in the game already. I just don't feel it would be beneficial to you to spend any more money on that. So that was one of my recommendations.
that's
What are-
a
I'm sorry.
discussion we've had as a board since I've been here on properties that we get back, how much money we should put into them. And I always said, not much, and we had others say, well, yeah, we're gonna do better, but I think people get them, in this case, it's probably gonna tear down, but they expect a better deal, or they're gonna clean it up themselves and, put a little elbow grease in and make something of it, so I'm glad to hear that we don't have to put any money into it.
No, I just, there's different pieces of property that we sell and we do multiple different things to go in and clean things up and I look at the value of the curb
Right.
appeal and I just don't
No,
really, you're not gonna get a dime back out of
Right.
sticking any more money into that little place in Grove City than what there is, so.
appreciate that.
Question, what are your fees?
So we generally charge we charge 5% buyer's premium on all real estate. And being these are just such low dollar properties and we'll have a lot of skin in the game and we're doing the advertising, we're gonna charge a 5% commission and a 5% buyer's premium. So the buyer will pay 5% and the county will pay 5%.
Okay.
And we do all the advertising.
Okay,
And we handle everything up until the closing. Generally, we just use a local title company for the closing.
okay,
So there will be some fees incurred, to the county at closing, but 2 properties,
pretty minimal.
cut and dry, $1,200 or less.
Yeah.
I don't see it being much more than that.
Okay.
And potentially, like I said, I don't know if the county wants to do it or you guys wanna hire us to do it, but like I said, there's a couple pieces of, there's an old boat and some other, something else sitting in the front yard that's probably more of a liability right now if somebody's climbing around it or what have you, just to get that off, that would be.
Sure.
And that's a service that we offer as well.
Do you have a feeling on that, Andrew?
And I think it's important for the new commissioners to know that we do have a requirement to, we may have to spend some money to make it safe and
So
avoid any
that's what Eric's
hazardous
talking
activity.
about.
So we have to make so that there's no trespassing, you have to put locks on, and if it's so unsafe that we may have to stick money into it. And so that's the only requirement that we have. We don't have to put money into it to make it beautiful and attractive, you just have to make sure it's a safe environment.
You noted that there's a hole in the roof?
Yes, right above the kitchen entryway.
Okay. So can we just put up, sometimes we'll see signs on properties that will say, beware, take care,
So I went up to the property and there's so much garbage in front of the doors, you can't even.
can't even go in.
Yeah, you can't even hardly get them open. There's a good sized hole right, like I said, right above the kitchen entry area.
Okay.
I guess at worst case scenario, to follow Brandy's recommendations, a person could put a couple pieces of plywood over the 2 entryway doors. That would be, just screw a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood over, something like that. You really can't access, really if somebody wanted to break a window down or climb through something, they could, but I don't.
A potential bidder wouldn't be able to view the property.
So what we would have to do is just say you're buying it as is. Yeah,
Gotcha.
And I think for the sake of, if somebody wanted to go walk or look at the property out by the river, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. As much as bad as the house is, I don't think I'd let people walk around in it.
Okay.
I just think that it's,
Too far gone.
yeah, nothing good is gonna come of it. So that just opens up the door. You literally just open up the door to people that don't need to be in there anyway.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Just,
So you're saying just probably remove whatever.
I would just board, I don't think the county should spend any money tearing the house down. I think it
No.
should be sold as is.
Yep.
But like I said, my recommendation would be if Brandy's talking about something for safety then.
Yeah.
It would just be put a
Board it
couple
up.
pieces of plywood over the doors.
And then get rid of
Because
whatever.
once we put an auction sign up, it will attract
Okay.
the locals.
they'll
We
grab
should
by.
have no trespassing signs
Yeah.
up and
Okay.
the standard stuff that we would require
Sure.
in these kind of forfeit properties.
And if there's already a hole in the roof, it might not be safe going up there to screw down a sheet of plywood.
I would let mother raccoon and her kids move out safely in the next month.
Everybody,
I can see they're going in and out, so I would just leave her alone. That's my,
I just make the
Andrew?
comment. Go ahead.
Heather, this is the first time that we've done a forfeited property sale since the Tyler Hennepin case and the change in state law. Can you just talk a little bit about the new requirement that we list at estimated market value? What, if the properties don't sell, what our steps are, and then how we can recoup the costs?
Okay, so under the new rules, the county can't benefit for anything over our cost. And also under it is the fair market value needs to be listed for the first 30 days. And then after that, the initial, which would just be our taxes, special assessments, would be what we would charge. So essentially it's 2 auctions. First 30 days, can they resell it at market value or above? Then if no, then after that, it will be at the bare minimum, just the taxes and.
yeah, and the only problem I saw with this after I read it, that house, what's it at?
$67,200.
Yeah, 67.
Unfortunately, I would,
That would,
if you guys could get a bid for $5,000, anything. I'm just saying anything, it's gonna be a thorn in your side for a while until it just goes away, because pretty much what you're buying is a lot that needs $25,000 worth of work to take a house out and fill a hole in.
And we've gotten many complaints about people wondering what's happening.
Yeah,
So that's why we're here today.
I can see that, yeah, obviously, you can see kids have been screwing around in there, you know what I mean, it's a detriment.
Do we know what the lot value is alone? Just the land? A lot of times it'll be listed on Beacon, just the land.
I figured,
That's when we pulled that.
The parcel, yeah.
honestly, I figured, I did a little research for you guys, and lots in Grove City aren't highly desirable.
Right.
I mean, $2,500, it's not worth it, because somebody's gotta maintain it, pay property taxes on it.
Right.
And it's not like you're gonna go build a $700,000 house, so it's.
So, another question, then, so someone buys it. I realize then at that point it would be up to Grove City to have something in place that they have to do something with it.
Correct.
Or it's gonna sit there and it's gonna attract kids and further varmints and everything else. But once it's sold, that's.
Not ours.
It's as is, whereas when we sell it and at closing, it is no longer your problem. And a year from now, if some kid falls through the hole in the roof, it's not it's as is.
The other thing, just for Darren and Cheryl too, that our expenses are recoverable up to the point that it brings enough money, and there's been several over years where we don't recover, we don't get our costs back too, so.
That's probably why we wanna keep this as easy as we can. And
Yeah.
And I
when
think-
To the
it's
Grove
that,
City
that's what
property.
Reached out to the local vendor.
I like that idea, by the way. I
Because
didn't know we could.
there's a couple other properties that are gonna forfeit here in June, so it's kind of gonna be an ongoing process for a
Good.
while here to get this cleaned up.
Have you done these for other counties?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good.
Yes, and it's one of those things, it's one of the services that we offer is that we go in these distressed properties and we'll clean them up.
Yeah.
And we go in and we'll give you a quote, say it's gonna be this much to,
Sure.
give it some curb appeal, get it cleaned up, get it looking. It helps. And you guys have limited resources of how many people you can send out to clean up a property or what have
Yeah.
you, but we like to have it as like a full service operation that we'll go in, we'll do the bare minimum needed to make it a saleable property, and then the process of selling it up to closing to get you through it. So it's all in one package.
I like the idea, for sure. So. Any other
How
questions?
long a
Steve,
time-
did you have something?
Timeframe?
We'll go, generally Amanda and I always like to have 30 to 45 days. To have a successful auction, we could sell it tomorrow, but we gotta tell somebody. So I always like to say 30 to 45 days, and then closing within 30 days. But the sooner we can move on a piece, the country property I'm not as worried about, that's gonna sell all year round. This house, it's sooner or later, it's like how much time do you guys spend
Yeah.
mowing lawn or worrying about other things happening? It's, you're not talking a large amount of money here, it's just.
But for 30 days, you have to list it for
For the
62,000.
market value price that you guys set, that's what the rule says.
Now, Steve, I bet somebody's going to let you talk finally. Do you still remember?
And actually, I think mainly what I wanted to make Darren and Cheryl aware of, that we don't always get our money back, on these, and this might be the case. The bare land, we'll probably do our recoup, but.
Yep. Good. Heather, I appreciate this. When I saw it, I'm like, wow, I didn't know we could do that, so. Good.
Pixie and I have been doing a lot of research.
Any more questions? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Are you looking for one motion or two here? I know it shows in the RBA two. Can we combine these, do them all in one, or?
What, do we need two, Andrew?
You could do it as one.
You can do it as one.
With that, move to approve an agreement with Steppies Group to advertise and sell tax forfeited parcels. The following parcels for sale, 25-016800 with a minimum bid of $67,200 and 170419-005 with a minimum bid of $80,300 per Minnesota statute 282.02.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any more questions? So I'm clear, we can only keep what they're owing us and what we have in it. And if we get any extra, that goes to
Goes to the relative or the previous property.
previous property. Interesting. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lisa Graffentine, Economic Development.
See you now.
Thanks. Thanks, Eric.
Take care.
Morning, Lisa Grafentine, Meeker County Economic Development Authority, and we visited last month regarding the habitat request, and I know there were a variety of questions and concerns that were raised at that time. So we went back and had a conversation with Habitat about whether they'd be willing to make some modifications to the request to address some of those concerns. One of the things that we talked about at the last meeting was whether they'd be open to evaluating existing homes on the market, so not strictly focusing on new construction, but would they look at existing homes that are for sale, identify if there's, rehab needed within those homes, and then instead look to prioritize those instead of just new construction, and they are willing to do that. So both kind of that existing piece has been added in there. And then I know one of the other concerns that was raised was just regarding, this was a longer term commitment, looking at 4 homes, 4 years. What happens when the market changes? And so the other modification that we look to make is that instead of looking at that 4 homes over the 4 years, just starting with 1. So just focusing on 1 initial home, providing homebuyer gap assistance for that, and that would allow the opportunity for them to kind of see, what is the demand for people that are interested in habitat homes, how that process went, and is there a demand for future homes? And then they would come back and ask for future requests if they would decide to do more homes. So greatly limiting that, again, from that longer term of for 4 years to just the 1. And so with that, we are looking to modify the request, so it would be for a $15,000 for 1 homebuyer gap loan. The terms would remain the same, so those are those 0% deferred over a 30-year period, and then that would be based upon sale of home or payoff of their first mortgage, whichever comes first. This would be a modified commitment, so the commitment that was made in 2025 was for a total of $45,000, but that was 5 homes over 5 years, and then with a delay, again, this is basically a whole new request, so we would look to modify what was committed in 2025 from a $45,000 to a $15,000 request in SAHA funds, and again, that would be for homebuyer gap financing. I won't go through all the SAHA. I think we've kind of covered that in some of our past discussions regarding how much funds we have available, eligible uses. We can use it for a variety of things like new rental development, home ownership, emergency rental assistance. We do have to prioritize affordable housing as part of that, but again, it's a very flexible pool of funds that the county can use to address housing needs. And just kind of again, our role with the EDA was basically, we kind of look at, we look at our housing study that we had done. Is this a need identified within the housing study? I will say that something that's unique about this project is its home ownership. I've got 7 projects on my desk right now of developers and potential housing projects in the county, and they're all rental except for this one. So we're seeing very few home ownership opportunities come to fruition, and actually within our housing study, it says we need more homeownership opportunities instead of rentals. So it's kind of a way to help us maybe balance, ensuring that we're providing housing opportunities both on the rental side, but also on home ownership. And again, we just look at, is it a need within the housing study? And then we also analyze the numbers just to ensure that, the gap assistance that's being requested through any of these projects is truly needed. It's kind of that but-for test but for the funds, the project probably would not go forward, similar to what we do with like a TIF or a tax abatement type analysis is what we do on the project. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
I'm curious, the current balance of funds is $128,600. How much did it start out with where have we used these funds previously, I guess?
I can answer that question. So we've, the first couple of years was about $100,000, and then it dropped down to about $45,000, $50,000 per year. So far, we've used these funds to help support the Meeker HRA, and we've committed funds towards the Litchfield HRA's project that they're looking to build. I don't remember exactly where it is in town, but that's how we've used the funds to this point.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question, Madam Chair. Lisa, on the funding, the 0% for 30 years or upon sale of the home, where do those dollars go? Like, say, them dollars, do they come back to EDA into that, or is it back? Who gets the money? Who's getting paid back?
Right, so once SAHA, always SAHA, so they would
Okay.
come back to the county and you would reuse them. It's similar to a lot of
They
programs.
do come back to the county.
They do come back.
Into that SAHA.
Correct.
It stays
And
in that lane or whatever, but they do come back into the county pool. Okay.
And then you'd be able to use them for future housing initiatives. But yeah, they don't become,
I didn't know if the state got them, or, you know,
No.
who was recouping that, that was the one question I had.
I would say that I have spoken to a lot of constituents, a lot of Meeker County residents about this. And I did not find one person who wanted us to allocate or approve funding for a non-government charitable organization. Many statements were, if I want to give to a charitable organization, then I want to choose how much and which organization. They did not want their property tax dollars. You know, we have people that are having a hard time paying their current property taxes with their house payment. And while this is a small amount, the more money we give out and give out and give out, the higher people's property taxes are, and they can't afford the home that they are in. As far as affordable housing and GAP, there's federal down payment assistance available for people. So if you don't have money for a down payment, there's a program in place at the federal level to cover that. You can use it for your down payment, you can use it for your closing costs. You can get a USDA loan in rural Minnesota that has low interest, no down payment. There are FHA loans. There are a lot of funding options available for people to purchase homes. And right now, I looked this morning, there are 5 homes under $300,000 for sale currently in Litchfield. And so my concern is, yes, this is a wonderful organization, but they are generally run by charitable contributions, and I'm not sure that, from what I'm hearing from taxpayers, one lady looked at me and said, "You didn't vote for that, did you?" And I was like, well, let me give you a little more information. And I did not have one person say they would support this, not one. And I talked to at least 24 people. So with that being said, this isn't, giving money to a non-government charitable organization that can raise their funds through their fundraising efforts. That's not something that I can support.
Okay, thank you. Can explain to me where the statewide affordable housing aid comes from? Taxpayers, correct, or
correct, yes. So this is
not local?
not local taxes, no. So the state of Minnesota, the state legislature made the decision back in 2023, or 2022 might have actually been the year, or 2023 legislature was the year they decided to create the statewide affordable housing aid program. So essentially what it did is instead of housing funds going more, and there's still housing funds that go to our state agencies, and then they make the decision on how to distribute those throughout the state of Minnesota. This program was created to provide more local government decision-making regarding housing resources being expended kind of within a community. So yes, it was enacted by the state legislature back in 2023, and the aid goes to every county within the state of Minnesota, and then all cities over $10,000 population. And there's also a pool of funds that go to Minnesota Housing, so that if you're a city under 10,000, you then competitively submit applications for those dollars. So if you're a smaller community, you can still access some of these dollars on a statewide level, but you have to do so through a competitive process.
Okay. I kind of struggle with the same thing as Cheryl's talking about, because as a board, we cut some nonprofits.
Non-government.
Non-government, is a better word, when we did our budgeting. We did that with intention. So I struggle with taking, it's not a huge amount of money, so.
It's not.
But, and then we're taking away maybe from other, like HRA, who's always got a waiting list and always in need. So that, I kind of struggle with that myself. So I understand where you're coming from, for sure. So.
Madam Chair, I just want to ask a question to clarify. This is coming from our county taxpayers who pay state tax. No county levy dollars. We're not talking about county levy dollars whatsoever.
Okay.
This is strictly, we've already been taxed it. It's already out, and I think as Commissioner Schmidt said, once it's not going back in the checkbook if we don't use it.
But there can also be a bit debate if this is the best use then.
Right.
I mean, right?
No, I don't disagree with that, no.
I know that organizations that give to Habitat, we just did it last month. Yeah, they
Absolutely.
write a letter and we give to them, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand where Cheryl's coming from, and this is a kind of a tough one, so. I
Madam
wish the
Chair.
EDA would just make these decisions.
Well, we have to approve them here, so.
Thank you.
And I think.
know, but-
And I wanna back up a little bit to a few weeks ago. I think, I wanna commend this board because I think it's something that I've thought about this over the weekend. It's something that we've gotten better at, but I think we've become more intentional about if there's something we wanna do, take a look at deeper, we're a lot, much quicker now to pull that item back and have another look at it versus 5 years ago. I just think we've gotten much better at that, so I appreciate that, cause it always helps. Habitat for Humanity, I like the adjustment, I like going from the 5 or 45,000 to let's do one at a time and see what number one, how it works. And number two, as the economy changes, and maybe it might take 5 years to actually, if you keep doing one at a time, it will take multiple years for Habitat to build 4 or 5 homes. So I think I like the option of doing them one at a time and spreading it out, and as the economy changes and private industry steps in to start filling that gap, then we get out of it. I think that's always EDA, I think that's my opinion on how EDA should run. We should get in to, areas where things are struggling right now, but when private industry can start filling that void again, using their own dollars to make money. Cause let's be honest, the reason I don't own a house in Meeker County. I rent the house I'm in for my son. I'd like to build a house, but what I wanna build, I'm not gonna spend $500,000 to do. Just that simple, so housing is unaffordable for me right now. So it's unaffordable for many people. And I like the fact that this is stick-built, I like the fact, that use local vendors. I know organizations right now that'll put sweat equity into this. You know, one's already talked about it, if something like this would come. So do I love the fact that we give money for houses that a lot of these projects, we never used to give money to for any of it with housing, but right now, housing's unaffordable for just about no matter where you fall on the spectrum, it's fairly unaffordable.
I'm not seeing that in the market. I have plenty of buyers who are able to purchase houses. As far as building a stick-built house, I think a lot of people would love to build a stick-built house, but you're right, that is not affordable. I would like to, own a $2 million house, but that's not affordable. I think we have to be realistic, and people need to purchase houses within their budget. Now, as far as the 15,000 goes, if we approve this, they can come back next year and say, well, boy, housing prices are still going up. We would like 20,000. No, that's supposition, of course. But we aren't changing that $45,000 necessarily. We're just pushing it out year to year. And so we say yes this year. Well, next year, they're probably gonna expect us to say yes as well. What changes?
I would disagree with you on that point. I think we're doing it one at a time so we can evaluate as market changes, as things change. I think that's why we went. I think that's why Lisa went back and asked Habitat and did her work to change this, was to accommodate what we said a few weeks ago. And to give us the option, whether to move forward or not, to, number one, explore whether it's gonna work or not. If it doesn't work, UCAP, we did a couple UCAP houses. There's one in Eden Valley, it's already for sale, it was a modular, it didn't work out very well. And I shouldn't say that, it's for sale. It's there, it's new, but I like this model and this project a lot better. as locals doing the work.
So was this an unanimous, you didn't have this discussion at EDA? Mm-hmm. Well, you did, so,
And we knew it was gonna,
so
you know,
if we don't approve the 15,000, do they have other avenues?
I mean, essentially, we would just go back to them and say that it was declined, and, I mean, the EDA approved their funding, so we did approve funding for them on the construction loan side. So they would still have access to those resources, and then, yeah, they would just make a decision whether or not, I don't know what their decision would be, if they would decide to proceed or not proceed. They are a regional organization, so they work, you know, in different counties and cities, and so I don't know if they would make a decision based on where they have the resources to build, or if they would still proceed. Because, you know, again, they get funding from a variety of sources. Like, you have to kind of put together the scale of projects that they're doing across a region.
And we've not done this before.
No, we have never done. Nope, so this is
So
something
we're
that's
starting,
fairly,
we're opening something up here.
Yes.
to try something.
Madam Chair, but these funds are already allocated through
Right.
SAHA.
Right,
So we're not necessarily, it's just a means of distribution, is it not? Or am I
Yes.
just?
but we're still responsible for how that money is distributed.
Right.
Sure.
So,
And I just wanted to acknowledge that it does seem that they were agreeable to the change in our concerns and how we wanted to do it, which is a good thing.
right,
Some of those
So-
concerns were addressed, but my main concern is we are taking taxpayer dollars, whether they have already been taxed for them, and they're in a pool, we are still taking taxpayer dollars and giving them to an organization that is non-government charitable. And we are taking money from this taxpayer to give it to this taxpayer. And it is, it isn't supported by the people that are paying those taxes.
I believe there's a clause though, I mean, I think the 0%, number one, if we get a resident come build a we build a home for somebody in Meeker County, not just Litchfield, could be anywhere in the county. There's other cities in the county besides Litchfield that need housing. And if we take and build a house and they need to live in it for 30 years, and the county gets they'll be taxed for 30 years on that property, and if they sell it before that, they gotta pay the money back. I'm failed to see where we're at risk here.
One other piece of this.
I mean,
yeah,
that's
that
just my
isn't,
point.
yes, is when you are maxed at a house, let's say you buy a $300,000 house, and you have a life change, and you need to sell that house, and property values haven't gone up astronomically, you cannot sell that house and break even. You have closing costs, and I have clients who have been in that situation. Now you need to pay back that $15,000, and you cannot, because you can't get enough profit from that house to pay your closing costs and sell the house. And so you have, you know, there are moving parts. My other concern is EDA has stepped in with Avon Lumber to build houses before. I've discussed this many times. 2 houses, one of them, it took many months to sell. The other one never sold to a market buyer. And now Habitat is buying that house. Habitat is buying a house that the EDA already helped build. And how does that Habitat client put any sweat equity into a brand-new build?
They, I believe, have to volunteer for it.
For another location, another location.
Right,
But
right,
I'm
so they
see-
don't get off on it, yeah.
I'm saying we're stepping in here and funding things, and I would agree that if you're gonna do something one at a time is a much better option. I really appreciate that. That is a better option. But we already have so many government-funded options for people to purchase homes. Federal down payment assistance, like I said, that is $15,000 to $16,000 on a home. No payment loan options from the USDA. FHA, low interest loans with low down payment. There are lots of options out there for people who want to purchase homes. And partnering with Habitat would also be great. But that, in my opinion, you know, when we are cutting funding to other charitable organizations, I don't know that we should be adding to that. And while, yes, this is already in a pool, the money from that pool could go to affordable housing for the elderly who can't afford any housing at all, or to those who are on public assistance who really can't afford any roof over their head. And so, am I wrong? Can that funding go to HRA?
Correct, to
Saha?
go to the HRA,
Saha?
not for operational.
Okay.
They can go to the HRA to renovate units. In the case of the Litchfield HRA, they are looking to build.
Or Grove
30 new-
City, did it help with renovations there?
Yep, so the funds, the Saha funds
Yeah.
were used as matching. We leveraged that with some small cities development funding, so essentially then they didn't have to use any of their HUD funding. They used the other two programs to renovate some of those units.
And what is the waiting list right now for low rent? It's a lot.
There are 300-ish people on the waiting list. Yes.
That's why, and I look at this, I love Habitat, you know, I would choose, but there again, here we are, giving funds to a non-government nonprofit. And that's where I agree with Cheryl more than anything. So this has been hard for me because of that. I'm glad it came forward. I appreciate the discussion. And once we start it, we're gonna be where we always are.
Yeah.
There's gonna be another one and another, probably, even though we look at them individually, so. I understand both sides of it, but I'm in agreement with Cheryl about the nonprofit getting government money.
Perhaps the potential homeowner needs to look at a house that is $15,000 less rather than.
We still have to have a down payment, or
Rather.
there's a gap.
And there's down payment assistance, rather than money from the
Well,
county.
and I would just, Cheryl, to your comment on underwater, anybody can go underwater.
Yeah.
This is true.
I
You're
mean, you can sell a
absolutely.
home and not have.
Absolutely.
Somebody ain't getting paid back. I mean, that's a risk.
That is a
Any-
risk.
Any bank or any institution or any lender, what USDA, I know of people who had USDA loans that
Under-
went under, they were underwater, and 7, 8 years later, USDA came back looking for their $8,000 or 10,
Yes.
whatever it was. So I mean,
You're spot
that
on.
happens on.
Yep,
On a.
absolutely.
That risk is always there.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, any more discussion? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve a modified commitment from 45,000 to 15,000 in Saha funding for Habitat for Humanity in west central Minnesota. Funds will be used as a home buyer gap financing, meet all Saha requirements, and be constructed as a 0% deferred loan for 30-year term, or upon sale of the home, whichever occurs first.
We have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, 3-2 pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, and
Thanks,
definitely.
good discussion.
Too, I'll just add is that if this is a topic you want to dive into deeper at a work session or something, I'm happy to do that, just so I kind of have guidance in terms of like the type of projects you potentially wanted to see. Because for instance, yeah, again, if we don't want to fund or nonprofit organizations, then it's easier to direct them to other sources, or if there's certain types of projects that you want to do, I'm open to that discussion. So
And I
just
understand
let
that.
me know.
We just made a decision as a board intentionally that we have organizations that I'm still getting phone calls from because we cut back, and we'll probably cut back more next year. They have to find a new way to do this. And I think Habitat is a great organization.
Absolutely, I
I've worked with
agree.
them, I donate to them.
Absolutely
I just
donate to
don't
them
think
as well.
this is the place, so.
Oh, yeah, and so I'm just
And
saying,
that's fine,
I'm open to
and
that
if
conversation
somebody
if you wanted.
interested in a work session, we can certainly have one down the road.
Yep,
So,
just let me
I
know.
appreciate
No, I
it, Lisa,
appreciate it, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Schultz, Land Use Records Director.
Greg Schultz, Land Use Records Director. Today I have 3 items for the board. First one is a landscaping project on Lake Washington. It's owner is Pam Borsma. See on the map up there, the contractor is JK Landscaping. It's for landscaping. Property located at 68887 233rd Street, Darwin, Minnesota. Lake Washington is a general development lake. This proposal is for repositioning riprap created by a shoreline buffer, as well as replacing existing failing block wall. That will be extended on both sides of the existing steps. Here's the plan here, what they're planning on doing. Cheryl was on site, saw the project, it's pretty steep. Here's some
It was
pictures. what's
very
going on there Currently.
Is it Steve? Oh, wow.
The block wall's failing. There's a deck that's about ready to tip into the lake as well. Very noticeable. Here's from the top of the bluff looking down on the left, and then on the right is a picture that was taken by the client last summer.
They could get down there.
So it's a pretty challenging project.
That doesn't
Not
look
long,
very
going up
safe.
took longer.
It took longer?
Yeah, going down is rapid, but
Going down is
Holding on to everything around you.
challenge, yep. So with this project here, it'll be about 60 feet of riprap will be replaced and reconfigured. 60 feet of boulder wall on each side of each side of the steps. And it'll be about 35 cubic yards total of materials will be brought on the project. This project will be done by using a barge, because it's so steep.
Wow.
So that's the
Interesting.
intention, so.
Looks like it's a do.
Yep, and Emily Wolf did respond to this one, the DNR hydrologist, and said it's a property that needs repair, so she did respond briefly on that.
So Greg, this is just for my information. When they use a barge, because they're not gonna hand do all this, are they gonna barge in like a bobcat to be able to work it?
Yeah, something like a little crane or something, pick the rocks and materials on site, yep.
Was that your first site?
But a lot of that wall,
yes,
That's a good one.
but I do visit sites on a regular basis.
So those trees on that bank are kind of important. They're holding that bank.
yeah, they're very important, that's part of our conditions. They don't touch anything, even the undergrowth above that wall, that retaining wall. So it kind of stabilizes the bank. Yep, exactly.
How deep is the water in front of the?
I don't know, it was,
He
I
probably
don't know,
didn't
there was
wait.
no doctor the day we were there, but it looked like it.
That
didn't look
deck
real-
was very unstable.
Yeah,
I bet it looks like.
But I was just wondering, because if they're gonna do it by barge, they're gonna need 4 or 5 feet of depth on the water to
yeah,
get both.
the backside is,
It's kind of fun to walk.
they can beach the front of the,
I agree.
on that riprap,
Yeah,
so.
Okay.
if they can get up to the riprap,
Yeah,
because lakes are low.
they are, so.
Any other questions? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the application for conditional use permit number 16773 to move more than 10 cubic yards of material within the shore impact zone and 50 cubic yards of material in the shoreline district of general development Lake Washington with the conditions.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Second by Commissioner. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next project we have is for Alpha Allied Dairy, now as it's called, it's just north of, actually the transfer station, landfill, right across the road. And what they're proposing here is a feedlot expansion with not only animal units, but buildings as well. So they're gonna add 159.6 animal units to what was previously permitted in 2005. Then they're gonna add a 120 by 568 freestall confinement barn. Then they're gonna add a 108 by 14 by 18,850 gallon sand lane. Then they're gonna add a 285 by 950 by 15-foot manure lagoon for the capacity for all the animal units that are currently on site. Total manure storage capacity will be about 33,904,260 gallons. And what the intention is by expanding lagoons, that they only want to spread the manure in the fall. Currently, they're doing it spring and fall. So with this expanded capacity, they should be able to just spread in the fall when the crops are out. So that's the main,
Cause they're really not, they ain't adding that many animal units.
no.
I mean,
I think they've been running only about 2,200 animal units. They've never been to capacity since 2005 when we permitted that 2,800 animal units at that time. But they are intending on taking it up to this 2,959 at this point. So it's the intent.
I see our future county commissioners have joined us.
Yes, they have.
Welcome.
Rose County, welcome.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, I
Yes.
see two neighbors were at the thing, a Sarah Henderson and a Steve Dorschel,
Correct.
talking about the odor.
The smell, correct. Hendrickson, was quite a ways to the north, over a mile to the north. But the Dollar Show is a direct line to the east of this property, right across Highway 24. And Steve had built this house a year before this dairy was actually in existence, in 1996. The dairy was put in existence in 1997. So he's been a neighbor to this property even before it was built. He was here before. So he has some concerns about the smell. So with that, the board, in our conditions, we extended the vegetation, trees and shrubs along Highway 24, all the way up to the property line. Extending it out to hopefully it'll buffer some of that. Mr. Hendrickson wanted a buffer line to the north. Like I said, he's a mile away to the north. Greg Jans kind of gave his opinion on it. He's a big dairy farmer himself. And he says, when you create buffers around entire properties, it kind of landlocks or it stifles airflow on the property. Actually, the concentrations of odors increase. So you have to have some level of airflow to go through to make this stuff somewhat, the odors tampered down somewhat. So with that, it's one on the east boundary, there'll be vegetation on that east boundary to kind of deflect it away, possibly, hopefully, from the Dollar Shell somewhat, but still have airflow from the north and south.
There was a lot of interest from the public. I see you had quite a few people.
There was.
They were talking about the manure ending up in the lakes. Let me find it here.
Yeah, that was,
Dairy pumps manure on fields that saturation occurs, which ends with manure in ditches and lakes after rain events. Is that?
I haven't had any reports on that. That is the same, maybe it's high flow rain events, 3-4 inches of rain, I don't know. We haven't had any direct indication from the lake owners that anything's getting to that far to the lakes on Richardson and Dunn.
And Madam Chair, once they spread that, they have to work it into the
Yes.
ground within a certain period of time.
they drag line and inject.
Yeah.
So that's when a lot of your smell is too, because, I'm just, not to pick on Dollar Shells, but they put manure on all them fields probably on 3 sides of them too. So when you're injecting it in the fall,
So there
if you're
isn't-
doing it in spring and fall, it's twice a year. And
So there isn't a lot of runoff? I mean, so.
it's injected. I mean, we're doing everything they can to, and they can only put on so many gallons an acre by, MPCA rules. They have to fill out reports and stuff, how many gallons per acre you're putting on. So there's a lot to meeting the guidelines and regulations.
One other positive was when you add that lagoon, and you only pump it once a year versus multiple times, it allows that crust to form so that can keep that odor confined as well. And so that
And you only deal with the application once a year instead of
Correct.
twice a year, so and that's
also
when
reduces odor.
that's when your smell is.
But
So
I
you're
think-
cutting that down by.
Jan's in here says several times that crust won't form because it'll be tough to form because there isn't any solids going in.
Correct.
If I read it right.
Yeah, this is a different
depend.
type of system for
Yeah.
the bedding, sand lanes rather than
Rather than
straw.
straw.
So with that, you have less organic matter, and with less organic matter, you have a lot less likely that you can have a decent crust on top.
They
We'll
are,
have some, but it's not gonna be like at Greg's dairy where he uses, straw on that, where you have a real thick crust on top. This
There-
probably, it
there
sounds like
is-
it won't have that.
there is products now that you can put in lagoons to,
Develop that
To
crust.
make a crust.
bacteria or something.
There is.
I'm not a,
This is-
you can put
this
stuff in
is
there that
not
will
in my
grow.
You'll have people
area
out
of
there, you'll
expertise.
have people out there dumping
Yeah.
stuff.
And one,
Landlords won't be happy that I'm sharing, and giving people
Greg,
ideas,
in
but
respect-
there is things they can do
Yeah.
to mitigate odor
Yeah.
by adding things to it.
in respect to the door shell, the fact that the dairy was built the year after, but it's only 1,000 feet, so they were still 700 feet.
Yeah, 1,600 feet away,
Yeah.
correct, beyond our quarter mile setback for that size
Right.
of dairy at the time,
Yeah.
correct.
So it wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Everybody's
inaccurately placed.
within guidelines.
Yeah.
Everybody did everything right.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was at the meeting with Cheryl, and I just wanted to make the comment that I thought it was a pretty productive meeting in terms of allowing the public to get a voice, felt like they were heard. Actually, the next day, I just happened to be in that part of the world and swung by and just had a conversation with Sarah, who was here. And just to say, hey, how did you feel the meeting was? Do you feel like, you were heard? And she was overall pretty positive in that regard. I don't think she was particularly convinced that they were ever gonna get their way, but same time, I just thought it was real helpful that, again, Greg knew the dairy issues as the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board was very positive, and that, he was asking and talking with the dairy owners who were very, I thought, accommodating and willing to do some of the mitigation efforts to help the situation. And so I just thought, I walked away feeling really pretty good about the whole process and just what was said. And as a totally different aside, since I was there, I spent a little time at the transfer station. And the gentleman running the transfer station, Tom?
So,
Yeah.
our
Said
demo site,
very positive things. He was very complimentary to you, Greg, about all of your support and help.
He pays them every week for that.
So anyway, I
Probably
just
didn't
wanted
know
to, anytime I hear good things about people, I like to, spread that good gossip, so.
All right.
I learned a lot, so.
What's, anything else?
One-
Otherwise, I'd look for a motion.
One last thing I would say that, to keep in mind, like on these type of expansions too, these folks, when by the time they get to a planning and zoning meeting at county level, they've already had to deal with the MPCA and pollution control and stuff, so they've had to do a lot of behind the scenes work, and by the time it gets to county, I mean, there's, they should be fairly well spoken on it, because they've had to speak on it 2 or 3 times already, so it's, but for the general public to understand that there's a lot goes into these, preliminary work before it gets to county level on, something like this, so.
Okay.
With that, I would move to approve a conditional use permit 16758 for a 2,959.6 animal unit feedlot with building expansions in the northwest quarter to southeast quarter of section 30 township 120, range 30 and Forest City township with the condition.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
okay, and the last item I have is for a interim use permit for a second dwelling for a blood relative. Now, this property is located at 51080 298th Avenue, Grove City. It's kind of north between Grove City and Atwater, parcel 160232000. Property owner is requesting an interim use permit for a second dwelling to live in, as their daughter is going to be moving on the property. The intention is to bring a manufactured home onto the property for the parents to live in, and the applicants are asking for the interim use permit to be for 20 years. That's the site where it's gonna be located, back by that machine shed. That's Kim in the picture, I think Cheryl. So,
Questions? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve interim use permit application number 16772 to allow a temporary second dwelling for a blood relative for 20 years at the property located at 51080 298th Street, Grove City, Minnesota, with the conditions.
Thank you. We have a Motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I would just say that I think this is a wonderful option for this family and for community, as you have families stay together on their property and they can help each other. And so this is wonderful in my opinion.
I would
This
agree.
is-
I think
And
this is,
actually, I've had other counties that I know it's much more difficult to do than what Meeker does. This has been
This
I
is-
mean, this has been, we've done this several times and it does work well and it's a good policy.
great
Absolutely.
answer if you have elderly parents and
Yes,
it's absolutely, and they have, that's what's most important. So,
absolutely.
And if you, depends on how much you love them, you can keep them
Well,
a little ways away.
I
Give 'em a
understand your,
separate house.
I understand your son's hoping you're building pretty.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can evict me anytime, you're right.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks, Greg.
Missy Voigt, County Assessor, you're up again. You're a star today.
So here's my annual report. It's pretty short and sweet this year. Not a lot going on with everything kind of maintaining. So, our mission statement, is to ensure a fair and equitable assessment for all of the properties in Meeker County, and to treat all taxpayers in a professional and respectful manner, and to ensure that all property owners pay no more than their fair share of the property tax burden. Some of our responsibilities are to direct, plan, and supervise the appraisal process and classification of all properties. We do our assessment on a mass appraisal basis, which is a valuation of a large group of properties, which is aimed to determine a market value. We fall under the land use department, which includes planning and zoning, building, septic, GIS, landfill, and the AIS departments. We currently have 3 appraisers in-house with 1 vacant position. We have 1 that is licensed at an EMA and 2 others at their CMA. We have 1 support staff, Kristen, who is certified through a new program called MAP, gears them more to get a little bit more knowledge of what we actually do than just answering phones and mailing out letters. We have 3 local assessors. They cover 5 townships. Jennifer Halverson does Acton Township. Gary Grossinger does Kingston Township and Kingston City, and Jane does Forest Prairie and Forest City Townships. We have 3 license levels that we can obtain. The CMA is the first step to obtaining that license. You have to obtain that within 2 years of hire. From there, you have 5 years to obtain your AMA license. For that, you can appraise commercial and apartments, because you have to be income qualified for that. CMA can only view residential and agricultural properties as well as seasonal rec. And then the SAMA is the highest level, which a county assessor would hold, as well as any potential jobs working for the state of Minnesota. It's not a requirement to obtain your SAMA unless you want to move on or have more knowledge within the field, so. We have a total of 18,179 parcels in Meeker County. 922 of those are exempt. 233 of those are personal property, and 236 mobile homes within the county. Our county staff covers 21 of the 26 jurisdictions. They average about 3,700 parcels per appraiser, and they view approximately 744 parcels per year. Our local assessors do 5 of the 26 as well. They have a total of 3,271 parcels, and they only view approximately 217. And we are required to review 1/5 of every jurisdiction in every year. So over the course of 5 years, we'll go back to a rotation.
Excuse me. Madam
Sure.
Chair. Do the, so the compensation for the local assessors is like per assessment? How does that work?
They have contracts that are held by the townships. So
Oh.
however they work those numbers is completely up to the township.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then the rest of them contract with the county.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
may. Safety is always a big concern of mine. You have folks going up on properties with dogs
Yep.
and other things. What kind of precautions are taken?
So they do carry pepper spray with them. We have started now, pretty much since COVID ended, we mail out postcards to the property owners where that's something that we didn't require before. So if they're getting ready to start viewing, we try to give them a couple week notice, get those postcards in the mail. Hey, we're coming. We leave a pink door on the tag. If there is a dog that is outside and the property owner is not home and it seems aggressive, they don't get out of the vehicle. We'll try to send that property owner a letter to try to set up a different time for an appointment if possible. I always tell everybody, go with your gut, obviously. If you come up to a place that's a little sketchy, go back with a partner or don't go. So, and then will be done by aerial imagery, by a beacon, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Give me an example of an exempt property.
Exempt property, basically government-owned properties, cemeteries,
Churches.
churches.
Okay.
Some veterans are also exempt, aren't they?
No, they're not exempt. They can apply for, they have to be 70%, 70 to 100% totally and permanently disabled for a homestead. If they're 70% disabled, they get an exclusion up to $150,000. So if the market value of their house is $300,000, their taxable market value drops to $150,000. And then if you're 100% totally permanently disabled, they get up to $300,000. So if that, again, if that house is at $300,000, they qualify for that $300,000 exemption or exclusion. They don't have taxes owed.
I bring that up because my father was a disabled veteran and he was 100%. And I think there's a lot of veterans that don't
I was
maybe
gonna
know
ask,
about
do
it.
we have veterans that use that? Because
Yes.
I wasn't aware of it until.
So Tim works very closely with Kristen in
Okay.
our office. They start with his office. And he gets him all the documentation. He
Sure.
knows the qualifications for that, so if they
Good.
qualify,
Good.
he comes down with that vet and we start that process.
Good to know.
That's good to know.
Can you define what the personal property, the 233 personal property, what would that be?
So some of that is just like grain bin sites,
Okay,
which might be owned by somebody else and another farmer's leasing the site, the bin site itself. They might own the bins, but not the land underneath, so that would be personal property.
gotcha.
We've heard debates about that at
Okay.
different times. so
And then
we'll
the
probably
other-
save
hear it
that for another
before you're
day.
done, yeah.
Other things might be decks on year-round campgrounds.
Okay.
So we would have to pick those up too, so.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
So some of our main classifications that we deal with daily are residential, agricultural, seasonal rec properties. That would be your properties on lakes. We do not consider hunting grounds seasonal rec properties, considered rural vacant land, and then commercial and industrial. So again, talking about that homestead exclusion, the state has recently moved that exclusion amount up to $517,200. Once you hit that dollar, anything above that, you do not see an exclusion. So the higher your value, the less your exclusion. So,
You don't need it.
Same.
we determine our market values every year based on a sales ratio study. We have to be within 90 to 105% of those sales that come in. Basically, we determine our raw ratio, which is the market value divided by the sale price to get that ratio. Sales that occur outside those range are what causes our EMVs to go up or down. So, and there's a study done by the state where if our sales are coming in low, they'll do a 21-month study backwards to put a time trend on. And that time trend is what for sure you have to go up depending upon the area. And then our assessment cycle, we are currently dealing with valuation notices for taxes payable in 2027, as well as tax statements that just went out. As well as it's our wonderful local board of appeal season. We wrap up the final assessment in county board meeting. And then we start all over. Your truth and taxation notices go out in November.
So I have seen a lot of the townships have put it in that they have their time when you can come and talk about your value. Have you gotten a lot of calls this year?
This year, we've only had about 70 phone calls. So very,
Compared to-
very low.
I've gotten that many.
Well, you gotta call our office.
Don't worry.
So how it kind of starts is on the next slide. For the appeal process, they start with our office. We go out, we review the property, make any necessary changes that we can get. And a lot of those are able to be decreased just because of the fact that we haven't been inside the house yet. So once we're inside the house, we're able to make changes based on quality construction, different sorts of features that they may have inside their home. And then they would have to present that to local board or open book meeting, which always just goes to the county. Local board meetings have been pretty much down. Everything's convened at the county board meeting, and then they still have the option to apply for tax court the following year by April 30th. So that's kind of the process there. So I kind of gave you guys a little graph here, just kind of what we've dealt with in the last 3 years. In 2023, we had 296 phone calls to our office. Of those, we had 35 people appeal their properties in person. 49 of them we had 49 recommendations to local boards. We had 1 person appeal at the county level, but we also had 25 recommendations to the county board that year. 2024 was down, we only had 58 phone calls. We had 7 in-person appeals, 28 assessor recommendations, 3 county board appeals, and 12 assessor recommendations at the county level. And then last year in 2025, we had 117 phone calls, 23 appeals, 46 assessor recommendations. 2 people appeared in person at county board and 22 assessor recommendations. And then so far this year, boards wrap up next Monday for us. Like I said, we've had about 70 phone calls this year. Only 4 people have appealed, and we've had 24 assessor recommendations. So I like the lower trend.
So when people go to tax court, have we got any of those pending?
No.
right now? But I never hear the result over the years. I heard that people go to tax court and then
So if
don't hear.
some of our most recent one was somebody basically, he missed the county board meeting, missed all this, but it was still his right to appeal his value. So we work closely with Brandy's office. We try to settle so it doesn't get all the way to tax court. We go out, review the property, make any necessary changes as though we're viewing for a local board meeting or county board. And pretty much they're satisfied at that point, and we just settle it. And it's
So
kind
we
of a
don't,
closed case. We haven't had,
How does it work if they go to tax court? Is that you that
Yes, then we represent the county and then we work with the homeowner or the property owner. And then normally we resolve it because what they're getting at could have maybe been accomplished at an in-person meeting. And so
Okay.
those are the really important
Sure.
meetings
So we
that
don't
we
take
stress that property owners really take advantage of that, because I think that Meeker County, in my opinion, working with the property owners, they find that we can be reasonable once they are able to articulate what their issues are.
Sure, sounds good. I know over the years we've gone a few times, but I've
Yes.
never heard the results, so interesting. Okay, any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
you do.
We need a motion
Thank you.
to accept her. This is just informational. Thank
Just
you, Missy.
informational.
Madam Chair, can we put these youngsters on the spot a little
Yeah,
bit?
sure.
Find out who they are and
Where they're from?
what questions they have for county government, since we're just about done with our meeting.
Sure. Let's start with the 2 gals in the front.
Tell us who you are, where
you're
you're from.
Bashful.
Eden Valley?
Mason Dexter and from Litchfield. I'm Max Boucher, I'm from Litchfield as well. Carson from Allen.
All right.
welcome.
All right.
Welcome.
Who's
good
the
to see-
chaperone?
Shane Dexter, I'm from ACGC.
Okay. All right.
The guy in the uniform.
Dave Higgins, Sergeant at Arms of the Legion.
Sergeant Higgins.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, guys. I hope you get it. This piques an interest in government for you, because we need some young people.
What, where have you
Clearly.
been, where have you been today?
Yeah,
so far?
clearly.
This was our first stop.
Oh, okay, start with the best.
Yeah, right? It's all downhill from here.
This is the most boring part, probably.
Yeah,
I think they
right?
like the mock trial the best, probably.
Do you have any
Brandy.
questions
Yeah,
about
so is mine.
what we do, or any questions at all? That is a really, really good question. Do we just sit here and say yes and no to people?
Kind of.
When we're not here, we're collecting information. I'm looking for what the people in my district, which is Litchfield, Harvey, and Forest City, I'm looking to see what they think about the items that are on the agenda. And so then when someone comes to present a question that needs a yes or no, then I have some basis for my answer.
We can,
And we should describe, there's 5 districts, and that, so the county is basically split into 5 pieces. So we all represent a different area. I'm from Watkins, east of Watkins, all the way over to Lake Coronis, and then down to Grove City, so I have a L-shaped northwest part of the county.
And I am Dassel and Kingston, just in the kind of the far eastern part and above to the Stearns County line, but not down to the bottom to McLeod, because that's a different district. And then the districts are all kind of allocated based on population. We all try to keep about equal number of people is how that's allocated.
and I represent 3 wards in Litchfield, 2, 3, 4, and then Darwin and Darwin Township. So the only rural I have is Darwin Township and then the city of Darwin.
Well, yes, you have described yours. With the exception of Grove City and part of Litchfield, I have everything south of 12, all the way from the Candy Meeker line to the Wright County line. So I go all the way down to Cosmos and across the entire lower part. And those are the folks that elect me. I represent all of you.
Right.
But I'm elected by those individuals in that area.
One other thing I would say is when you see us sitting here, we are also part of very many committees. From things like ditches to the hospital, to
The library.
the library, just, it's vast. And so, as we move on in our meeting, maybe this is a great segue, as we move on, we'll give committee reports, of the various committees so that everyone on the board is up to date about what's happening in those various areas.
Yeah. We're also responsible for budgeting each year. We have a committee that has to look at the bills that are coming in and find a way to pay them, and the only way we can pay them is the taxpayer money. So we take that very seriously.
Absolutely.
And try to do what's best for the taxpayer while keeping our government working smoothly at the same time, getting the roads plowed and having employees, staff that we need. So it's interesting but challenging at times.
It is.
And I think we should also add, we don't just do Meeker County, there's a lot of joint boards.
Yep.
So we'll work with Candy OI, and a lot of it, ditches, for one, that a drainage ditch goes from Meeker right into Candy, that's a joint ditch. And we'll both have representation on a board there, but also public health,
Transportation, like this afternoon, I'm gonna be in Wilmer for the
CCT?
CCT, which
So
is
the buses-
Renville and, Candy Ojai and Meeker.
So a lot of joint committees cross county lines and with our neighbors around us and stuff, so.
I would also say that we have connections at the state level. And so we meet with other county commissioners from other counties. And Steve represents our county well, as he is Secretary Treasurer at the state level. And then you also he attends quite a few events, meetings, and policy,
Testimonies,
yes,
I
at
testify.
the national level. So,
Yep.
So-
shout out to
Some of
Steve.
that's fun and some of that's not, believe me, but,
So our real job is not the first and third Tuesday of each month. It's what we do to prepare to sit here. And to be able to be, as Cheryl said, informed and know the issues that are on the agenda, so that when we vote, we know what we're voting for or against.
All right.
Okay, any other questions?
But we
Anybody-
do say yes and no a lot.
It's all part of it.
Yes.
Andrew, would you like to give, Andrew, our county administrator?
Yeah, I'd be
is
happy
gonna give
to.
his
So,
report.
my name's Andrew Letson, I'm the county administrator, so my role is, easiest way to think about it is kind of the CEO of the county, so in charge of the day-to-day operations of the work that we do. The county board's primary responsibility is to provide policy direction and those high-level yeses and nos, and then we, as a staff, work to make sure that that stuff gets implemented. So you guys are being asked to leave. I will transition to,
See you at lunch.
Thank you for your time.
At lunch.
Lunch. Bye.
I don't know what's for lunch, so.
Bet it's
It'll be
chili.
good.
Good.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Thank you again,
Yep, take care.
So my brief report today is that we are not gonna have a work session next week, but we are targeting to schedule one after the regular meeting on May 5th to discuss the housing support contract issue that was tabled at the last meeting, so. And then also included in your packet was the annual report from the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office, which is there for your information and review. If you have specific questions you'd like forwarded to the ME's office, please let me know.
Committee updates. Do you want to start, Steve? We'll work this way.
Yeah, I can. Primarily, I testified 3 times over the last 2 weeks. And like I said, some were not real fun. But the first testimony was in the Senate on e-waste. There's been a lot of talk about not necessarily the electronic cars and things like that, that type of batteries, that's a different animal in itself, but this is your lithium ion, your little battery packs for, hundreds of tools that we use them for, and they end up in the landfill and been causing some fire. I mean, there's a lot of difficulties with that, so we, AMC had a position on that. I came down and testified on that. And then we had testimony last Tuesday. We had Joint Ditch 17 meeting, which I'll let Paul, Irwin, Cheryl, you guys were in the room here last week. But then I went to testify in the House for House File 4407, which was brought forward by Representative Don Gilman and on MAFPA. And that I've never sat at the testifier's table for 90 minutes straight. So that was, brings a lot of emotion, within that room. There's a lot of back and forth. Overall, I think it was something, I testified on behalf of MRC, actually as vice chair, because AMC felt that MRC needed to take the lead on this one and they would support. It was, we kind of went into an arena that we were told we shouldn't go into, but we felt that it needed to be said. Myself and Commissioner Mojo out of Clay County were there with Representative Gilman. And then after the testimony, after it was done, and talked out in the hall with some of the DFL, a couple DFL legislators on the other side. So there's ongoing conversation there. I think it looks to be like, MAFPA is gonna be a big item, big ticket item on the table as we head to the finish line here in May. And I think, because it's a large ticket item, it's a big budget driver, so that's gonna be, something we'll hear more about. I think as we get closer, it does feel like a lot of these things are going to, be 11th hour decisions. But we're hopeful for, I just had some conversations with, Commissioner Mojo this morning on my way in, so we'll continue to work different things there. And I know Matt Hilgard at AMC is also, as Julie Ring put it the other day in our board meeting, has his finger on the pulse, and he's not telling anybody what some of our positions will be heading into the finish line, but we know it's gonna be kind of a wild and woolly finish. And then I also testified on, what was the last one? On drainage environment. they wanted to do a environmental worksheet for any drainage done within, it's a large area out west. It encompasses basically that Minnesota River basin as you get out west. So Renville, a large 3/4 of Renville County would be affected by this. Like all Lac-Parle, Yellow Medicine, I mean, big group. So there was Farm Bureau, corn growers, everybody and their brother from the ag community was there to oppose that, and it got laid over, so that won't happen. It'll more than likely be brought up again next year, but those are the three things, really that highlighted, I guess, my last 2 weeks, so I'll stop there.
Thank you. Darren?
Let's see, Wednesday after our last meeting, I kind of mentioned that I'm part of the working group for the Dassel Cokato Elementary School. What they want to do in terms of do they want to, rehab the schools? Do they want to keep them in the individual communities? Do they want to build a joint elementary? It's kind of a big decision in terms of the perspective of the communities. And I know, like I've said, Dassel is going to be a challenge just because that elementary school is so integral to the heart of Dassel itself, whereas I don't think Cocato's is necessarily the same, but it was the first time I'd ever gone through. We did a tour, and so I went through the all of the underbelly. We went into the boiler rooms, and at Cokato Elementary, it was the first time I'd been through that. So that was a really interesting, enlightening kind of experience. And then we went to Plymouth to take part in a kind of a presentation workshop on terms of educational spaces. And I think I told Andrew what was interesting about it. It was one of the gals who was there helped us here with some of the furnishings in our remodel project. And she goes, "Oh, you're from Meeker County. It was a pleasure working with you guys." So that was kind of cool. And then that night.
How'd she say that again?
It was a pleasure.
What? It was a pleasure working with you guys?
No, just, oh.
Well, Paul, I have to put some life into my stories, okay? Oh, goodness. Thank you. So then that night we got back, and then we had our Mid-Minnesota Development Commission next door here, and I felt bad that I was late getting to that, but again, that's just one of those things where they were dealing with the budgetary issues, and I'll be honest, I was kind of like in a fog from driving all day, and then, but they've got a lot of their loans have been repaid, and so there's opportunity there for businesses if they want to look for them for funding. Then the next morning, I welcomed the Meeker in Motion group at the Dassel Area Historical Building on behalf of the county. The last time I did it was 2 years ago when I was a city council person. And so this time I was able to do it welcome them as a county commissioner. And they invited me to stay, but they didn't laugh at my joke, so I left.
I don't blame
But no, it was interesting because Heather was there. Heather and Rachel Nelson were both there, so that was kind of nice to see them. And because I think that's a really good organization. And I mean, one of the things that we said at our last AMC meeting, that Wright County was doing their own kind of leadership internal development thing. And, my first thought was, we already have that with Meeker in Motion as far as I was concerned, because that's really run with the Extension Service, who kind of runs that. I learned a little about equalization on Monday from the Lunch and Learn. That was kind of interesting, just in terms of they're focused on other business. They do time limits on everything, and I don't know, that's probably bigger counties than us, but it was still kind of interesting. And then the 14th, we met about some of the personnel planning issues, which was very helpful. And yeah, other than that, we're good.
Okay, Cheryl?
Okay, We did have the joint ditch 17 meeting about abandoning that portion. That went well, and we did agree to abandon that. The farmer that's renting the land had put some work into it that had value that we didn't have to do, so that was a positive thing. And it was in the best interests to abandon that, so that was done. I did attend those sites from, that we went through over the planning commission, the different sites. And that was very educational. And then the planning and zoning meeting here, that was also educational. I appreciate all that they do. Pioneer Land Library System, we did find a new director. So the current director will be retiring in July. She's not sure, beginning or a middle, somewhere in the first weeks of July. The new director is currently the head librarian for all of Candy-Ojai County except for the Wilmer Public Library. So she will be transitioning, so we need to find a person to fill her spot so that she can move into the new spot. So that's all in process. Otherwise, the Executive Finance Committee also for the library met, and we are on budget. Yeah, 1/4 of the way through the year, and we've spent 23%, and the income's coming in. So library system looks good. Anything, oh yes, the county extension meeting in, we did the 3 counties all together in Hutchinson at the fairgrounds. We missed you, Steve.
What day was that? Cause it got canceled.
It was rescheduled for last Thursday, the 16th.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Yeah, so we did hear reports from,
Same fault.
we have a great collaboration with the 3 counties. There is only one other collaboration similar to that in the state. I'm not sure which 3 counties it is, but there's one other group that is similar. And the advantage to that is we have 3 specialists. We have a horticulturist, we have crop specialist, and livestock specialist. And so they each, they work in all 3 counties, but they run programs. They gave us a summary of what they've done this year, and they asked, how can we, they're sometimes called the best kept secret. They are a great asset. You can call the horticulturist and she'll tell you, yes, I think this tree should go, or no, here's how you save it. They work with the master gardeners, and so they gave their report, but they would like to know how they can be more visible. And so different suggestions were made, of course, social media, and if they would have they do seminars and informational meetings, and if they would schedule those at the same day of the week, same time, it might be easier for people to remember when they have things going on. So that was a suggestion. As far as funding goes, Wright County pays 44%, McLeod pays 33%, and Meeker pays 23%, and that is based on our population. So that was a great meeting.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And that hasn't been the setup for very long, 4 years, probably 5 years since we've gone to
that model.
3 counties, each having a position and sharing those positions. And the other thing, like Taylor Herbert, who's the crops specialist, we have our corn growers meetings at the fairgrounds, and she'll hop in there and attend them. So they do a lot of work with the other agencies, ag agencies, and kind of keep everybody.
They collaborate very well.
Pulling information back and forth and sharing information. Cause they do like, private pesticide applicator training, stuff like that. She helps navigate that. So they're a great liaison between the ag community, farmers, the folks at production folks, and extension, and bringing information back to the county board and stuff too. So it does work very well, and a lot of that stems from having extension out at the fairgrounds and having that building there too. So that's really integrated a lot of this over the last 7-8 years.
Yep, so that was good. That's all I have.
Thank you. John?
Darren, I want to say thank you because Dassel is important because, you know, yes, you have Dassel City, I have the southern portion, and we've watched piece by piece go away in Dassel of businesses and so forth. And that school is integral, and I certainly hope that there's a way to keep that, because everything seems to go to the big counties, doesn't it? Right
Yeah,
to the
and
west.
everything you do.
Stearns to the north, Canyon High to the west, and it just seems like we keep losing bits and pieces to our counties, so thank you for that. We had a pack for families meeting. Things are pretty stable there right now. We had all those scares where we were losing funding and prepared to make huge adjustments, and then all of a sudden funding was reinstated, but things have been stable.
Good.
And we have a good balance, so we can endure for a while. Then I was down in Marshall for our Southwest 18. But it seems so funny because sometimes you go to a meeting and then later on in the day you get an email about something that's changed statewide or otherwise. We would like to start budgeting, but we don't know how much our grant is gonna be next year. So we don't know how to budget, we don't know what the starting dollar figure is. So we're waiting on that. But more concerning was something that Tina Shank informed me of. She gave me a call after she sent me this email. And she said the overview is that we have been getting a lot of communication from DHS that they will be shifting/increasing the responsibility to track the AMHI consortium dollars to counties. This is always also impacting how we will need to track tying the dollars to client and client, if the client qualifies. So basically what she's saying is this could be a big shift in workload to our HSS staff, again, another one. So I just wanted to share that with you because as we start talking about budgeting and so forth, it appears that they're getting shifts all the time. Yep. And it's gonna be difficult, so. And then Cheryl spoke about the JD 17 abandonment meeting that we had. 1 week prior to that, I had another JD 17 over in Canyon High County. That was an abandonment also.
Ooh, how'd that go?
It was okay.
Okay.
It was not quite as, the folks here were all on the same side. The folks there were,
A
you know,
bit divided?
yeah.
Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting.
I knew it was.
Hasn't changed much.
But the one that we had here, I really, that gentleman who's been farming for many years, and he got up to the microphone and he spoke.
Brands.
And he said,
Mr. Rosenquist?
you know, I thought I knew a lot about it, but he said, you know, if there's one thing I learned from this, is to ask and make sure you ask the right questions so you get the permits you're supposed to have. And I thought, wow, somebody's finally saying that because we've seen that. We saw that on the one I had in Canyon High County. They had done all the work of abandoning the ditch, but never got the proper notices and stuff taken.
And that's a challenge, cause for most ag producers, you feel you go into that farm service agency, you fill out a 1026, they send you across the hall to get it signed and get it approved, and you think you've touched the two agencies you need to have in the equation. And that, unless you know what questions to ask, it's, as a producer, it puts you in a, then you go do the work and you think, well, I got all my paperwork, and then you get a letter in the mail that violated something. And what the heck? So that piece I've been harping on for a while needs to be addressed. That, and then because I think the folks doing the work, the farmer, you know, he doesn't know that he needs to, you know, he needs to describe his entire layout and get all this information from other landowners and stuff. He doesn't know that's a requirement.
Right.
And so he's feeling, no, I'm doing the right thing. And a lot of times they're doing the right work, it's just, but they violate. I know the Weismans, Craig, and I think he told me it cost me $25,000, you know, with legals and different things, but he said, oh, my dad would have told me, he said, you've got away with a few things over the years too, so he said it all works out in the end.
I can hear Hank say that.
He was good about it,
Yeah.
but there's, my point is that it's not a crystal clear process.
No.
And I'd like to see that cleaned up, cause
And I
people
think-
step in things. We have folks that do it intentionally, but people step into things they don't.
And that misconception, because it's a county ditch, that the benefited landowners, no, we don't pay for anything. This is the county's responsibility to pay for it.
That's not true.
That misunderstanding still hangs around a little bit, and
County Ditch Authority is a glorified title.
This is definitely one of those instances where you ask permission, not forgiveness.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, the system could be refined. I'm not blaming anybody, but it's a process that's not easily understood.
right, yep. And then I had a Prime West compliance, meeting, and I brought this with because you guys will all understand this very well. Here was my new list of acronyms.
Oh, boy.
We all are on committees that have acronyms that it takes us a year being on the committee to even understand what the acronym stands for. But, that's always an interesting meeting because, we own that company, Prime West, and we have to be compliant to state and federal regulations. And that committee, does a wonderful job of proactivity. They get in front of this stuff the second it happens. They don't wait for it to come and bite them. And we did close several cases, were recommended for closure, and, I can't disclose those because they're done, and we go into closed session to discuss the pertinent issues of those cases.
Can I ask, Paul, then, is there some concerns with legislative action this year? And, I mean, how is that, I don't wanna ask too much, but I mean, how is,
Well,
probably on the big BBB, right? National, or is it federal legislation or both?
I think it's a combination.
Combination.
By the
Like,
description that we continue to hear. Jim Brisbilla said, you know, if a couple of these things go, we're gonna have to add staff. Because there's absolutely no way we can contract for that to be done.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to add more staff to complete the task. So,
And they added some things that now they've already taken away, so,
yeah,
you know how they are. You
Yeah.
don't know where so you're upset about that, and then the next month you find out, well, now it's not an issue anymore, such as transportation so there's different things, yeah. So,
I think and I know I say this often, but I think we should be very pleased that we own that company.
Absolutely.
And very proud. What they do and the way they do it, I mean, our people who are on MA in this county who call Prime West don't get a voice recording. They get a live person within 3 rings or
Yep.
5.
I think 3.
3 rings is their goal to
I'm
have
gonna
that
go with
phone
3.
answered. and
Could be
talking to
5,
a
but
live
either
person.
one's good.
Wow.
That live person again, I'd hate to.
Well, let that go. But that's it for me.
All right, I had a couple things canceled. I had 501(c) meeting, it's just an exploratory meeting, so Paul was there too. Not much to
So
discuss.
is Brandy and Andrew.
And Brandy and Andrew. So, we'll bring that forth later, I guess, if we need to, so. But I did.
That was a real
I know,
enthusiastic look.
I'm not. Could you tell?
Take it.
So I got this letter I want to read, from the Minnesota Department of Human Services. Calendar year 2025 financial reporting. Dear Commissioner Olberg, it is my pleasure to commend you and your staff for perfect performance in meeting the Department of Human Services financial reporting requirements for the calendar year 2025. All key quarterly fiscal reports for programs your county participates in were submitted to our financial operations divisions on or before the report deadlines in perfect order. The effort required submission of 32 major reports covering the 4 calendar quarters of 2025, and then they list 8 different reports that they had to make, such as income maintenance, social service fund. If your county participates in a local collaborative, submission of this report may require the collection of multiple partners. I know this accomplishment requires planning and efficient operation and teamwork within your county human service department. This result is timely revenue for your county and compliance with federal reporting for us at the state. Please congratulate your management and staff on this superb effort. Sincerely, Shireen Gandhi, Commissioner. So I just wanna give our social service department,
Fantastic.
I mean, in this day and age to get this, I wanted to make sure that it was read to everybody. And we congratulate them on a wonderful, and not easy times, that they're doing a great job, so, important.
In somewhat of a significant turnover
Absolutely.
in that area. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
new people doing
I was
this, so.
proud when I read
Yeah.
that, so I wanted to make sure that they all know we're aware and appreciate them, so.
Absolutely.
That was all I had. I have some meetings coming up. I've had a pretty light schedule with meetings, not other things, but we won't get into that. So, anything else to come before
it-
the board?
Anybody going to nuts, bolts, and boardroom?
I think he is.
I am.
You are?
Am I the only one?
I am. Well,
Oh, yeah.
Anything
yeah,
else?
I'm going, but I might have to bail out here and there.
If not, I'm gonna call this meeting adjourned, and we will see you at the Legion at 11:45 for lunch.
Sounds great.